So I'm already starting to see this thread from Smarter Every Day get pushed around by left-wing journalists and activists to try and discredit YouTube once again. They're claiming that YouTube does nothing to deal with propaganda. And you'll notice I don't believe anywhere in this thread from Smarter Every Day he talks about propaganda. But just to get to the gist of it, this is a thread where Smarter Every Day talks about what he says are weaponized bots, algorithm exploitation, countermeasures, and countermeasures in a mega thread. It's very, very interesting, but obviously it's leading people to believe that this is a propaganda campaign. I do not believe that's true. Essentially, what's being alleged is that foreign entities are exploiting the YouTube algorithm with bot accounts, mass-produced videos to try and push fake news. I don't believe that's what's happening. I believe this was selective in that Smarter Every Day specifically found political videos and then again, I don't think he even says propaganda. It's all of these like left-wing journalists that are claiming this is a propaganda attack. It's Russians or whatever. Let's go through this thread. Let's talk about it. He tweeted, "I'm an engineer who loves America. I just figured something out I want to talk about. Let's talk about weaponized bots, algorithm exploitation, countermeasures, and countermeasures. So I'm checking YouTube on my phone and see a picture of Ruth Bader Ginsburg and Trump side by side. Clearly that's a big deal, so I consider clicking on it. But it looks a little weird. Then I see 135,000 views in one day, and I'm like, whoa, it must be real. The video is clearly a bot voice reading a script. Wow, I thought. How the heck did they come up with ways to auto-make YouTube videos and upload it? Impressive. I recognize that this video is meant to manipulate me, so I go to close the video, but hold on, what? Here's the thing. They were auto-producing videos a year and a half ago, almost 2 years ago, or longer. YouTube did take action against these channels. We knew it. You may remember the ElsaGate fiasco, where people, primarily in India, were mass-producing videos that used they used computer-generated sounds and recordings of kids because their English wasn't so good. They were producing songs, and they were really, really weird, freaky videos that were being auto-generated and pumped out in mass to make money. So it is designed to manipulate you. But I think what happens is he's only looking at the political version. There's a bunch of things that trend, okay? Ruth Bader Ginsburg and Trump, trending topics. So this is not a propaganda exploit. This is someone trying to make money, probably in a foreign country. Let's read on. How in the world does a video like this have 2,400 to 143 like to dislike ratio? Are people of that particular persuasion truly this dumb? Surely not. I submit to you that this is weaponized algorithm exploitation, and I'd like to talk about what I think is up. He says, when you go to a video, you get several suggestions, mostly because of the stuff you watch. The weight loss thing is probably there because I told my wife I need to lose 5 pounds this morning, whatever. But the other things are stuff that YouTube is gambling that I'd like to see. The major key to getting a ton of views on YouTube is to get in this sidebar or suggested videos. I don't know who the small workshop is, but they've won the algorithm shuffle this time. I'd probably click that. Anyway, back to the weird stuff. I got to thinking about how such a weird video could get my sidebar with 135,000 views and a crazy like-dislike ratio. That's not even that crazy. That's actually really low. For 135,000 views, on my videos, it's about 1,000 likes per 10,000 views. I don't know if that's good, but... So I searched for that particular title. What I found was disturbing. If you search the title after Trump sends note to Ginsburg, you see a ton of, well, dang it, this is a coordinated attack. Tons of videos that are just different enough to not trip the algorithm are uploaded to work in concert together. No, it's they're throwing, you throw everything on the wall, you see what sticks, right? What is that, a spaghetti reference? Basically, they've taken all of these different videos, put them in a big sieve and shook as hard as possible, and what's left passes through and they make money on it. Now, I don't know if it's necessarily a money operation because your channel has to be monetized, and YouTube took action by demonetizing tons of channels, but I think it's fair to say, launch a bunch of channels, even 20. Mass produce a bunch of these videos and upload them to these different channels. Do it long enough, you can get monetized, and then eventually you do this. They all use the exact same script, but the computerized voices are different to not trip YouTube's audio detectors. The videos all use different footage to avoid any visual content ID match. This is all offensive AI at work, and it's built to avoid every countermeasure. Yes, because last year, YouTube took action against all of these ElsaGate channels that were doing literally the same thing. And they were doing it to make money. But it's still interesting, so let's read on. The like-dislike ratio of all of them is good. The YouTube algorithm likes that. meaning it's been artificially inflated by either bots or an army of people sitting at the computers clicking like. Maybe bots. What's even scarier is that this multi-layer attack, look at these comments, click on any of them. Channels were created simply to like and comment on videos like these. Occasionally you'll find a real human. That's been tricked, but the ratio is low. And I will point out, it is possible that this is like a fake news attack, but I'll say this. Implementing fake news and propaganda needs to be much more sophisticated than this. This will not be particularly effective. It's easily caught and it's easily blocked. It is a massive attack on the YouTube algorithm, but they would be better off doing what like Russia Today would do, okay? The way I explain propaganda, this is one vector. So it's possible this is. I just doubt it. I think someone's trying to make money and they're exploiting trending topics. But what people assume propaganda to be is this. Some nefarious actor creating a weird set of it. No. Propaganda needs to be slick and it needs to trick people into thinking it's legitimate. What happens is somebody will fund a digital outlet called like the intersectional, Bible.com or something. They'll hire activists. They hire people who already believe this propaganda and get them to write about it. That's how propaganda works. That's why when people say, RT and Sputnik are propaganda outlets, that's what they mean. But I think it's rather silly because the US is the same thing. So we should be careful with how what we define as propaganda. But the point of RT, Sputnik, and the Russia Today network, this semi-Russian funded outlets, is that they present their perspective. It's propaganda, like to a certain extent. But what happens is RT will hire an activist who is critical of US imperialism, tell them write whatever they want. There's no direction, there's no forced propaganda, so you'll end up with far left activists, anti-interventionists, who they're not like the progressive types, they're old school, and they'll go work for RT, and they'll be like, this is great, I'm getting funded to write about how US imperialism is bad, because that's their perspective, and that's basically how it works. So you look at like Vox, Huffington Post, they're a bunch of intersectional feminists who hire people like them to produce content that they think is good, and thus you end up with a bunch of biased fake news. But I really love how I love how we have these, which are typically just view farms, click farms, and stuff like that. And for some reason, no one seems to care that you've literally got these venture capitalist funded enterprises in New York City that are collapsing, by the way, that pump out fake news even worse than this, even worse. This is just a robot reading a script, and you don't even know if the script is wrong or what they're talking about. So we'll read on. He says, I think the strategy is simple. If you bot create enough videos on the same topic and generate traffic to those artificially, many will fail. But eventually the algorithm will suggest one of them above others, and it'll be promoted as the one. Yes, as a means to make money. All of the videos you make will get views. They'll all make some money, but eventually one breaks through and it makes a decent amount of money. It's a money-making strategy. He says the one will be suggested in the sidebar of feeds belonging to actual humans. It worked on me. If even a small fraction of the 135,000 are real, thousands of people could see the stuff, and if they even read the headline, they could be influenced. There's this thing called the signal-to-noise ratio. By weaponizing algorithmic noise and pouring small amounts of algorithmic favor into one single video, they can make that video pop up above the noise, amplifying it to a signal, your watch page. Obviously, the enemies of the US are exploiting our company's own algorithms to try and influence our politics and have us destroy ourselves from within. It's smart, so my question is simple. Is this an attack? Like a military attack? I would argue it is. Okay, so he didn't say propaganda, but he did say we're being attacked. Tech company engineers are tasked with developing countermeasures to this type of attack, right? It's an attack on a nation defended by YouTube engineers. Does that make them mercenaries? I'm just going to go ahead and say, I think it should be plainly simple to anybody. This is just him making a bunch of assumptions. He found something interesting. He found a bunch of similar videos. He doesn't know who made them. He doesn't know why they made them. But his first assumption would be that we're under attack. And now we're seeing a ton of people push this around with the narrative that we're under attack. I would argue, well before you reach government conspiracy, you've got to look for enterprise conspiracy, right? I always tell people who people I know who are like 9/11 truther types or who believe there's a conspiracy, I'm like, listen, the likelihood that the government engaged in an action that resulted in that much death or whatever is slim to none. The likelihood that a massive corporation that was trying to cut back its costs because in our country the contract goes to the lowest bidder, it makes sense that they skimped on resources. Basically, I'm not saying this is true, I'm just making a point that it is more likely a construction company that was contracted by the Port Authority to build the World Trade Centers said, who needs these reinforced center columns no plane's ever gonna hit the building anyway, right? We can save $5 million and we can build this for $60 million instead of the $70 million the other company's offering. We'll get the contract. There's a quote from some astronaut, I can't remember which one, and they asked him what was going through his head before the shuttle, took off, and he said that the rocket was built by the lowest bidder. What it says to me is, when we look at things like this, the likelihood that this is somebody actually it's a government conspiracy to disrupt our politics is much, much more slim than it's literally some random dudes in India, because the other people who did it were in India, who have just figured out a way to tack on to trending topics to make money. Now, if these channels are not monetized, which may be the case, then I would say you're leaning more towards someone's playing some games here. But I would also say, just because they're not currently monetized doesn't mean that's not the plan, because the goal could be get enough views to get monetized. You see what I'm saying? This thread goes on for a really, really long time. He talks about, are these soldiers and developers briefed every morning on the offensive maneuvers? Like, this is where it gets crazy. This is where we've gone from, wow, you found something interesting, to now you're insane, okay? And I'm not trying to be a dick. I think Smarter Everyday Guy is cool, but holy... How did we go from, hey, I found some weird videos, to we've got a military base with software developers building bots to automate, okay, well, hold on. Let me calm down. Let's read it. He said, are they clever software developers building bots to automatically create videos and accounts to promote those videos? I would assume they're using AI to see what types of videos and comments are amplified the most. Is the keyboard mightier than the sword? Are these soldiers and developers briefed every morning on the offensive maneuvers and attacks they'll be performing that day? What? What? How did we get here? Attacks on this scale require... oh my god. I just can't. You guys know I'm a down-to-earth, rational individual. I need evidence. But for the love of God, he just jumped from, you guys notice how weird these videos are, to, are soldiers being trained? This is a lot of it. This is expensive. Is there a military base? Attacks of this scale require a lot of funding. And from my personal observation, they seem to be increasing. This is real war, isn't it? What? Oh my god. Everyone's insane. This thread's got like 5,000 retweets. Look, Smarter Everyday, Destin, you found something really interesting. But what you should have done is looked to see if this has been tracked before, because it has. The ElsaGate controversy. People were mass producing videos of Hitler dancing with the Incredible Hulk while they sang a song about fingers. And they were doing it to make money. And many of them made a lot of money. That's the first and most likely. No, it doesn't take a lot of resources to do this. Not at all. They turn on a program, they write a script, and then they make 50 videos automatically and then upload all of them. It's not that difficult. He's talking about soldiers crawling into foxholes. My god. Oh, come on, dude. Conspiracy theory, tinfoil hat level insanity from the mainstream. And I'm seeing mainstream journalists push this out. I'm over it. I'll see you guys on youtube.com/timcast at 4 p.m.